Good morning, beautiful people. How are you today? It's Brandy with Intuitive Energy Healing, and I'm here with another video about expanding your reality and helping you to shift your energy. So today I want to talk about psychic dreaming. And for me, I've had many psychic dreams throughout my life. I didn't always know that they were psychic dreams. I actually just thought I always had very crazy dreams. But there were incidences along the way that showed me that they actually were psychic dreams. And one of the biggest ones that I will obviously never forget was my dream about 9/11. I dreamt about 9/11 before it actually happened. And of course, I had no idea that it was about 9/11 until afterwards. And today I want to share a little bit about my story about these dreams, and I'm going to try to explain it the best that I can so that it flows out evenly. Like I said, I've been having psychic dreams for many years. A lot of people that know me know that I dreamt about Jacob Wetterling for about 20 years. And if you are a close friend of mine, you know that I talked about that all the time. And I had many dreams, probably between 20 and 30 dreams about Jacob. Now, if you are not from Minnesota and you are not familiar with Jacob Wetterling, he is an abducted child who went missing in the 80s. And his mother, Patty Wetterling, is who made it nationwide where you had to be a registered sex offender. And his case went unsolved for 27 years. It might have been 28. It was around that time. It was actually solved right before the anniversary of his abduction. Two local Minnesota journalists who started a podcast basically blew the case wide open, and it forced law enforcement to really take action and solve it. But anyway, how I've kind of figured out that I was having psychic dreams was about a Jacob Wetterling dream, which is why I'm going to share this long story with you. And I, at the time, was sleeping with my TV on a lot. I was scared of the dark, and I didn't have night lights at that time in my life. Now I have night lights like throughout my house. It's kind of funny. But at that time I would sleep with my TV on, but the TV on mute, because although I needed the light, I could not sleep with any noise. I would have these crazy dreams that would scare me so bad. So like I needed it to be completely quiet in my house so I could always hear my surroundings. And I had this very intense dream about Jacob Wetterling and myself. And when I woke up, I had unmuted my TV. And then it suddenly dawned on me that I should write down all the details of this dream so I didn't forget. And as I was writing them down, I hear on the TV breaking news in the Jacob Wetterling case. And I was like, whoa, what? And I had TiVo at the time, and I must have rewinded it like 7 times and rewatched it because I could not believe what I was hearing. And at first I was like, well, maybe I like heard something in my dream from the TV, and that's what like made me dream it. But then I remembered, like, I always sleep with my TV on mute. I had unmuted it. I had, turned the TV volume up, and that was definitely not it. And, you know, even though I knew I was gifted my whole life, I didn't know what my gift was at this point in my life. This was probably in my 20s, my late 20s when this happened. And so it was just kind of a signal to me at that time that there was something going on here with these dreams. And I don't remember the details of that exact dream at this moment. I probably, like I said, I probably have them written down somewhere because I do remember I was writing them down. I did this a lot. I started doing it a lot after that happened. And then fast forward, I was living in this apartment in St. Cloud. And I lived in St. Cloud for many years, and I lived in this particular apartment for many years, and it was across the street from this huge cemetery. So when I would have these weird dreams or these weird things happen, I actually just thought I was picking up on this energy. And about 2 weeks before 9/11, I had this dream about 9/11, and I called my mom and I told her the details of this dream, because in the dream it was me and my mom and one of my aunts. And in the dream we were in this large building, and something hit the building, and we didn't see what it was. It was just like the building shook, and we're like, oh my God, like what happened? And I remember thinking, well, there's a subway underneath the building. It must have derailed and like hit the building. And I told this to my mom and aunt. And so we went to evacuate the building because people were evacuating the building. And we went out, and I distinctly remember like you couldn't use the elevator. I don't remember if it was like out of order or what, but we couldn't use it. So we went to the stairwell, and we were going down the long stairwell. And what's funny about the subway thing is I'm in Minnesota. Like I've grew up most of my life here. I don't really know of any underground subways here in Minnesota. It's like not a thing that I'm aware of. And so the fact that that was such a detailed part of my dream, I thought was kind of weird. But anyway, we're going down the stairwell, and you could hear and smell things where we knew there was death all around us. We just didn't know where it was coming from. And it was horrific. It is details of this dream I will never forget. And all of a sudden, there was like a massive panic and screaming, and the floors started coming down, and we started to like mad rush, like trying to run down this stairwell. And just as like the ceiling was about to come down on us, I like woke up in like a panic. And there were images in this dream that I will not share because it's images that nobody should ever actually witness. And it scared me and bothered me so badly that I called my mom and I told her about this dream. And I think at the time she was the only person that I called and told because, you know, she was in it. So I called and told her about it. And, you know, at that time I was about to go to school, go to college. And it was the beginning of September, and there was a guy that had wanted to date me that was in the military, and he had just joined the military and was in the Army and at Fort Bragg. And he wanted me to come visit him, and we were talking about me coming and visiting him before I started school in October. And he was going to get me a flight, and I was going to come out there. And the day of September 11th, I had to get up early and go and pay for my tuition for school. Like it was the last day that you could pay for it and be registered, and it had to be done by like 8 a.m. that day. And so I got up early and went and did that. And when I got home, like my TV was on, because like I said, I always sleep with my TV on. And I crawled back into bed, and I was like not really paying attention to what was on TV. Like I don't know what I was doing, but I know that wasn't a thing. And like all of a sudden I like saw like smoke and stuff out of the buildings, and I was like, what is going on? So I turned on like the volume just as the second plane hit, and I was like, oh my God, like what is this? Like I like at first it still didn't register that I was watching something live. Like I didn't realize this was like news. And it just kind of kept replaying it, and they kept talking about it. And then that's when I realized this was an actual like event that was happening right now. And my phone rang, and it was my friend who was stationed out at Fort Bragg. And he was like, you can't come. We're on lockdown. Like nobody can come in, nobody can leave. And this is a terrorist attack. And they had not mentioned that on TV. And I was like, well, how do you know that? Like, and he's like, we know. And I was just like completely floored by what he was telling me. And he was telling me that he was gonna, you know, probably be being deployed overseas, and that we wouldn't see each other. And I was like, well, I will wait for you, and like we'll connect, like whatever. And he was gone for like 4 years. Like he became a Green Beret. He ran with the 101st and the 82nd Airborne, and they were the ones that took down like Bin Laden's son's castles, and they had like some huge things that they did over there. And the reason I'm talking about this is because I also had a psychic dream about him. And while he was gone, I had this dream that me and my girlfriends would go to the press bar in St. Cloud all the time. And we were at the press bar and he came in and I hadn't seen him in years. And I was like, oh my God. And I was like flipping out. And he told me something in the dream. And whatever he told me, I could not remember. But when he was walking away, I was crying. And I had told my girlfriends about this because they knew about my 9/11 dream. They knew about my psychic dreams. And turns out when he did return from Iraq, he met a girl and 2 weeks later married her. And he came into the press bar when we were there, and he came up and introduced me to his wife. And I was like floored because not only did I not date anybody for 4 years, but I didn't like sleep with anybody or anything for 4 years, and he had no idea this. So that was kind of like a rude awakening for me, which that's just a little bonus story in this ironic thing. So anyway, when 9/11 happened, my mom called me afterwards, and it was a couple days, I think, after 9/11, and she was like, do you think it could have been a plane in your dream and not a train? And I was like it hadn't dawned on me, right? Like I hadn't even thought about it. And I was like, I don't know. I never saw what actually hit the building. And it was in that moment though that my mom said that like I knew, like it all clicked. And I was kind of, I didn't know how to take that information in. And at that time I was working at a club in St. Cloud, and I was working at a different club in St. Cloud. There was actually two. And the one that I was working at before uh, was the only club in town, and it was a couple miles away from the St. Cloud airport where people trained. And I don't know for sure that it was the actual pilots of 9/11 or if they were just associated with what went down with 9/11, but their names and faces of these men that used to come into this club were across the news, and they were searching for them in connection to the terrorism attacks. And they had trained to be pilots in St. Cloud, Minnesota. And my bouncer at the time like never trusted these guys. Like they would come in and spend like thousands of dollars. And I don't remember them. I never remember being like somebody that was in connection with them or anything like that, but I'm thinking I must have talked to them or maybe touched their hand, or because I do remember like an image. I do remember like meeting somebody and like shaking their hand, and he was like dressed like to the nine, Armani suits, like, you know, jewelry, stuff like that. I do remember that. And but that's all I really remember. I couldn't tell you what he looked like. I don't remember all of that. I just remember it was a very different clientele than what usually came in there. And they weren't customers of mine. So you know what, but I do think there was a link there with this dream, and there was a link obviously with my friend who was stationed in Fort Bragg. And it was just kind of crazy because this weekend I was talking about this dream and this story, and as a result, like not as a result, but the day after 9/11, this club that I used to work at that these men used to come into, it has been abandoned for 15 years. Like I woke up to a friend messaging me a picture that it was on fire, randomly on fire, has been abandoned for 15 years and was burning to the ground the day after 9/11. And I found it all to be very ironic and really crazy. And so I decided to do a video on it. And so I wanted to share this with you guys. I could go on and on about my psychic dreaming, but I just felt like this was really relevant to like what was going on right now for me, like Mercury being in retrograde and your past coming back. Like the pre-shadow period is really intense for me always. And it was like I literally watched my past go up in smoke, like burn to the ground. And I find that the pre-shadow period usually like lays out lessons for what's to come. So with that, I will leave you with that information. Pay attention to what's arising and what's coming up, and I'll talk to you soon.